Hi everyone, Ness here. In today's video, I'm going to talk about another iPad app that I love, and it really serves me well for another hobby I have, which is photography. So this is just one of my snapshot cameras. I have quite a few. Actually, my first one, I still have that one. I got it when I was 8. My parents got it for me, and I've been a huge photography enthusiast ever since I was little. I love photos. I love my photos, your photos. I love photos. In fact, one of my friends decided that the term for me was photo junkie, which is probably true. But anyway, I don't know if you've seen my Instagram account. I'll leave a link in the description below. But I use Lightroom Mobile for most of my editing on my phone. I love that app. So I love Procreate too. It does a lot that I needed to do for editing my photos. But when it comes to color management, Lightroom Mobile, and I use the free version, is fantastic. I love that tool. So I wanted to branch out and start sharing a little bit on this channel because it's still related to the whole, art and design on your iPad. I wanted to branch out into Lightroom Mobile as another app that I love to use. And today we're going to start out with a free preset that you can get on my website. It's free to everybody. I'll leave a link in the description below. And it's part of a larger set that you can get from my store, and I'll leave a link in the description below for that too. And let's see, there seems like there was something else that I was going to leave a link in the description below for, but I can't remember what right now. So I think maybe it is time to get started. We're going to play around with that free preset. And it is the fall, seasoning for fall preset. And I just kind of take you through how to download presets and use them and have fun with them, and just kind of the philosophy I have behind them. Which actually, before I start, I tend to think of presets as a starting point. And like I'll have a concept for what I want the photo to look like, and then I will look through the presets that I have created. Generally, that's where I start. And it's like whichever one sort of matches my vision for it, that's where I'll start. And then I just treat that as a starter, because then I go in and I start tweaking it, really dialing it in so that what I see in front of me matches the concept that I had in my mind when I was taking the photograph. And the cool thing about having Lightroom Mobile is that you can do it where you're at in context. So if you're taking photos in the forest and then you start messing with them, you can sort of realize like, oh, I need to do today, the light is like this, and I need to do this thing with my photo so that it shows the way I want it to show. So anyway, that's a lot of details. Let's just go ahead and get started. Before we get started with Lightroom, I wanted to download the preset that you can get for free from my site. It's instant download and it's available to everybody. You don't have to sign up for anything. It's just free. And I'll leave a link in the description below for that. And it is this Lightroom Mobile preset, and it's a DNG, and DNG is important here because it was made using the Lightroom Mobile app for the Lightroom Mobile app. So it's not an XMP, which is what is required for the desktop app. So like I said, this is completely made from and for Lightroom Mobile. So anyway, it's free. Let's go ahead and download it. We're going to press that download button and then download again. And you can see right up here, it's downloading, and then we're going to just tap that, and we're going to tap this little All Presets Fall from Kit 1. And then I'm going to tap the zip file here just so it opens up in the folder. And now we're ready to go when we launch into Lightroom itself. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, Lightroom. I already have this installed. It's on my bottom bar here. And there's nothing in my Lightroom library here yet because we're just getting started. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go down to this little blue button down here, and I'm going to bring in my preset before I ever bring in any of my photos to work with. And I'm going to select from files, and then let's see, we're going to browse all the way down here to downloads right here. And here's where we just downloaded, and here's the folder. So I'm going to tap the folder, and then I'm going to tap this image file. And this is a special image. It's a DNG file, which carries with it the information for the preset. And so that is why we want to install that one first. It takes a moment, and then it pops up, and when it does, we're going to tap it. And inside here of the editing space, we're going to tap these little double circles right here, and that is what identifies your presets. And then we want to go ahead and save all of the presets that are attached to this particular image. So we're going to tap these little three buttons or three dots right up here, and we're going to create a preset. And then when we get the create a preset panel here, we're going to type in our preset name, which I'm just going to call the seasoning for fall. And then we want to create a new preset group. So I'm just going to tap this little user presets and create new preset group. And then I'm going to just call this Pinecone freebies. Actually, let's call it Pinecone and pencil. It's a long name. Why did I come up with a name like that? It's so long. Anyway, let's see. And I'm hopeful that we'll have more than just one freebie. So let's go ahead and put freebies. There we go. And then when we're satisfied with that, we're going to go ahead and tap this little check mark. And then once again, just double checking everything, and I like it the way it is. So we're going to tap the check mark. And then finally, press done. And now our preset has been saved. So now let's go ahead and get an actual image, not just our placeholder image here. We're going to tap that little blue button down here again. And this time I'm going to select from my camera roll. Okay, you can see I've been playing around, but we're going to select this first one right here, this green one. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply my new fall preset to this image here. I did take this during fall, but it's really hard to see the fall colors because of the green and the shadowy area. You know, the more of the orange and the yellow are kind of on the outskirts where the sun is. But I wanted to kind of amp this up and actually give it more of a fall color and fall look. So this is where the preset was sort of born. So let's go ahead and tap our presets button here. And then we're going to go into our Pinecone and pencil freebies, and then we're going to select seasoning for fall, and wham, fall instantly. Now, it really depends what kind of image you use this on, how it looks. And then also, I tend to think of these as seasonings and also starters. So kind of the same thing, you know, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So once I have this and I'm satisfied with this as a starting point, I'm going to go ahead and tap done. And now it's ready for me to play with. And again, this is how I use all of the presets that I make. I start with them, and then I start tweaking to really get the look I want. This gets me close to the look I want, and then I start playing around. And so let's say, for example, we decide that, you know, the light's at 0.73, but let's say we wanted this to be brighter. So maybe we want to dial it up to something greater than that, like, you know, 1. So really, you know, bringing up that exposure a bit. Or let's say we liked where it was, somewhere around, well, let's say it was 0.73. But we want to, you know, get rid of the shadow that's going around it. Well, it's not in here. It's actually a vignette effect. So we're going to go to effects instead. And we're going to go ahead and dial that vignette out of there to get it to 0. And so now the whole picture has more of a level lightness to it. But I kind of liked that vignette, so I'm going to bring it back. Maybe I wanted it to be even more severe, so I don't want it to be so feathered. I want it to be more obvious. Maybe I even want it to be more, you know, dialed in, so we're really looking at a thing. It just really depends on what you're going for in terms of artistically here. So I'm going to bring that back to where I was, or thereabouts. Can't really remember. I think this is all the way up there. Okay. Now let's look at some of the other things. One of the things I really like in Lightroom Mobile, the version I use, by the way, is the free version. I feel that between Lightroom, the free version, and Procreate, I have all of the tools I need for my, you know, graphic design, memory keeping, and artistic needs. So, so like I said, I just use the free version here, and so I only have certain things that I have access to, which is fine. But one of the most powerful ones, and probably the reason why I continue to use Lightroom Mobile, is this color panel here. So there's temperature and tint, which is awesome. There's vibrance and saturation, also awesome. But one of my favorite things is this color mix panel here, where it has all of the colors divided, and so you can get really pinpoint control of specific colors and you can manage them. So for example, I just know because I made this preset that I've really shifted the yellows over to orange. So let's take a look at the yellow there. And let's bring it back towards, well, let's go crazy and go all the way to blue. You can really change the effect here. But let's take it back. I'm going to go back to orange here. let's say you don't want it to be quite so saturated, because it's, you know, the saturation's amped up a little bit on yellow too. So let's just dial that back a little bit and see what happens. Oh, it makes it a little bit softer, right? It gives it more of a, I don't know, sort of a forlorn feeling to it, which I also like. So there's just a lot of different things you can do and play around with in this set of sliders here. I would totally recommend playing with these colors and these effects. And then there's another, let's see, let's go back to just color, oops, color here. And there's color grading, which is an awful lot like the gradient map inside of Procreate, but it's a little bit different. I kind of like the way this works. I like, because it's kind of one of those ways to think about it all just differently, and sometimes that's nice. It kind of helps you know, set it in your brain about what's going on. So this one is the dark tone. So let's say we want to dial down the dark tones with blue, and then let's say we want to change the highlights. This one over to the right is the highlights. And let's say we want to shift it towards yellow, and so you start to get a different look here. And then let's say we want to shift those mid-tones to something too. Let's see, I'm thinking maybe a little more green. It might look, well, no, actually, maybe let's go towards red or magenta. Okay, there you go. Now you've got something that looks very 1970, like a very vintagey sort of look here. And I really, really dig this too, because it just kind of instantly gives you this feedback about what's going on, and you can really see what's happening in the shadows, highlights, and midtones. So it's a lot of fun. And then again, you know, you've got your whole luminance and blending and balance going on here too. So that's a lot of knobs and buttons to play with and, you know, push around. So let's say you've done all this and it's looking great, but then you decide, gosh, you know what? I think I liked it with the preset and I'd really like to go back. How do I go back? Well, it's really cool. All you have to do is tap the little preset again and just click on Seasoning for Fall, and it resets everything back to the way it was. So that's pretty cool. And when you're satisfied, just press done. And then you can save it in the library by pressing the check mark. And if you want to beforehand, you can just go ahead and share it to your camera roll, which is what I did before. Now I'll have two versions of this. And then just hit your little check mark then, and it'll take you back to your library. All right, let's try a different image with that same preset, because not all images work well or the same with this. So let's look at this snowy picture here. I have a feeling it won't be too bad because we've got some yellows and stuff like that. But let's just apply it and see what happens here. So Seasoning for Fall. Yep, it does change it. It looks all right. But you know, this works out pretty well, but not all images will. So you just really have to play around, and also it's really about what you want to, the look that you want to achieve in your own photograph. And so I'd say play around, have fun. And again, this is free, so just go download it and have a blast with it. That would be my recommendation. So, oh, one thing I can think that this probably wouldn't look very well, do very well with is people. So let's go check that out real quick. We're going to go ahead and download. Let's see. Well, you can hardly see our skin tones, but I have a sneaking suspicion this is going to look really weird with this. So let's go ahead. Whoops. Press our presets, Seasoning for Fall. Actually, it's not as bad as I actually was expecting, but I don't really like all the orange for this particular scene. I actually would like this to be really dialed down in terms of its saturation. So let's go play with that. Let's go open up the presets. Oops. Go back here to our right, we have to say done. I keep forgetting. This interface is just a slight bit different than the phone interface, which I'm really used to. But let's go back here, and we're going to go into color, and let's just dial down the overall saturation a bit and see what we like. Not bad. You know, I could actually live with something like that. That's pretty good. But again, you're just going to have to play with different photos and see what you're going for there. And that fall preset is really a shift towards orange from yellow. So if that's what you're looking for and some drama in the meanwhile, then that's the perfect preset for certain pictures. So I hope you have a lot of fun with it, and also I hope that your day is amazing.